Tonight's presentation is by PWR Canada. The COVID-19 pandemic induced economic recession and has triggered a rapid and catastrophic impact on Canadian labor force. The objective of this research is to understand how precarious employment conditions contribute to workers' well-being during COVID-19 epidemic and its aftermath. PRW Canada is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can see these three here. Tonight's presentation is a speaker is Pearl. She's a researcher coordinator working at MAP Center for Urban Health Solutions at Unity Health Toronto. At MAP, Pearl works on multiple projects which address the social determination and evaluate innovation to better support women. Pearl is passionate about working for a research center for emphasize solution for focus on research to improve the life of those most in need across Toronto. Welcome to our speaker, and I stop sharing my screen if you want to share yours.
Sure, great, thank you. Just gonna pull it up. Great. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Okay,
I can
great.
see it.
Great. So thanks for having me today. As described, I'm going to be talking about our precarious work study, and it's currently being conducted at MAP Center for Urban Health Solutions at St. Michael's Hospital. So just before I begin, I wanted to give a brief update on a research project that my colleague and I last spoke about when we were here about a year ago, presenting at Civic Tech. So the focus of that research, which is called With Women, it looks to build screening and safety planning solutions for women that are experiencing domestic violence. So our team has actually built, along with our app developers, 3 separate apps that screen for domestic violence and provide safety planning for women. So we have one app that screens women for domestic violence in the general population. We have another app that screens in a clinic setting, and one that provides safety planning for the general population of women. And just a little update on where we are now. Due to the pandemic, we've seen a global rise in incidences of domestic violence, and social service agencies that have traditionally provided support to women and children have had to pivot how they provide services to be in accordance with physical distancing and work from home measures. In our safety planning app, we found did not provide safety planning that was most appropriate for a public health emergency. So over this past summer, our research team had assessed what safety planning strategies were most appropriate for women during this pandemic. And we have very excitingly created a modified safety planning app that's specific to this public health emergency. And it will be released very shortly at the first week in December. So back to the precarious work research study. This research study is a multi-country mixed methods study, so both qualitative and quantitative study of 6 countries. So we're looking at Sweden, Belgium, Spain, Canada. We're specifically focused in Ontario, and the US, as well as Chile. And the objectives of this research is really to describe and measure how precarious work conditions affect the health and well-being, not only of workers who are engaged in precarious work, but also that of their families. And we also want to assess the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on workers' well-being. So just a bit of background as to why we're doing this research and why we think it's important to focus on. Precarious work is quite prevalent. We know that 50% of workers are engaged in precarious work. So when we talk about precarious work, it's quite encompassing. It's contract workers, it's gig workers or platform workers. It's also temporary workers, migrant workers. It's quite prevalent. And the COVID-19 pandemic has had a great impact on those with a minimum wage and precarious work conditions. So 50% of workers with a minimum wage lost their job at the height of the first wave of COVID in Canada. And we have seen that the Canadian government has responded to COVID with mitigation strategies, so things like CERB, but some subgroups have been left out of this. And just thinking specifically of migrant workers as one group of workers that have been left out of this. So where we are now with this research, we have launched a survey that is sampling all of Ontario. We launched in the beginning of October, so we're almost 1 month in now, and we're looking to sample 300 to 500 participants across Ontario. And we're hoping to sample quite a diverse range of people. So we're looking at people between 25 and 55 years of age. So really hoping to get the spectrum of people, no matter where they are in that work cycle. And as I mentioned, we're specifically focused on precarious workers. So those that are working part-time or gig or platform workers, those that are self-employed. And our survey is open between October and through December. And survey questions are related to employment conditions, demographic characteristics, as well as health and well-being of workers and that of their family. So a couple of challenges we've experienced in survey recruitment. One, we want to ensure that we're sampling a diverse group of participants. So that encompasses diversity in terms of age, location in Ontario. We want to make sure that we're not just sampling people in the GTA, but we're reaching Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario as well, and not just big cities either. We want to make sure that we're including different types of job precarity. So again, self-employed, gig workers, and we want to make sure that we're getting a diverse sample in terms of gender. And so our recruitment strategy has mainly been through social media. As mentioned, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we have done some paid ads, and we have quite a lot of posts. We do post quite regularly. And then we've also connected with employment organizations and labor unions across the province. And one question I guess I have for the group today is if there are any suggestions on improving our recruitment strategy. So feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat. I can't see the chat, but feel free to let me know if there's comments that come in.
No, there hasn't been anything.
Okay.
Comments.
Sure. Oh, I think I tried LinkedIn. Yes, that's actually one platform we're going to be trying recently. And also someone had mentioned Kijiji to us, so we are going to look into those too as well. All right. So I just wanted to highlight some ways that Civic Tech could support this research. So we would definitely be very grateful for sharing this survey with your networks, as well as if interested and eligible, definitely to complete the survey. I believe the survey flyer or the study flyer has been posted on tonight's meetup site and has been shared in the Slack channel. And then, of course, to stay up to date on our research, we're again quite active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And just some next steps for the project, we're going to continue to monitor the survey responses and engage in recruitment for our survey. And I just wanted to highlight the rest of the team that's not here today. So I'm in the pink box, but part of the study team is Dr. Virginia Gunn, who's a postdoc at MAP. And we have Dr. Carlos Montander, who is the co-investigator. And our study is led by Dr. Pat Ocampo. I'll just open it up to questions now.
Thanks, Pearl, for the presentation.
Yeah. I see there's some comments in the chat.